Hello, and welcome to our presentation on the Conservation and Protection Measure implementation for North Atlantic right whales in the South Atlantic region. My name is Catherine Lebow, and I am from the Jacksonville District Army Corps of Engineers. I was assisted on this presentation by Nicole Bonin from the South Atlantic Division and Alan Sheary from the Charleston District. Today, we will be discussing how the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has implemented conservation and protection measures throughout the South Atlantic region in collaboration with the National Marine Fisheries Service, Clearwater Marine Aquarium Research Institute, Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute Associated Scientists, and more.
Hi, this is Nicole Bonin. Aerial surveys for the presence of North Atlantic right whales in the southeast are accomplished using two separate efforts. Both efforts report observations to the Whale Alert System, which we'll discuss later, that's used by mariners to know the presence of North Atlantic right whales in an effort to reduce the likelihood of a vessel strike. This first effort began more than 2 decades ago and covers northern Florida and southern Georgia as a collaborative effort between the National Marine Fisheries Service, the Navy, the Coast Guard, and the Corps. Recently, the Corps added aerial surveys to expand the survey efforts in the southeast by including North Carolina and South Carolina in what are now referred to as the Mid-Atlantic surveys. The way that the Corps is involved in these North Atlantic right whale surveys is through the South Atlantic Regional Biological Opinion, referred to as the 2020 SARBO. This opinion, completed in 2020, covers maintenance dredging in coastal areas, beach nourishment projects, and more. It also covers 25 marine species, threatened and endangered species under the National Marine Fisheries Service purview, including whales, sea turtles, sturgeon, coral, rays, and more. And it directs the Corps to use a risk-based decision process. All of this led to the development of the North Atlantic Right Whale Conservation Plan, which is included in the 2020 SARBO. Under this North Atlantic Right Whale Conservation Plan and the 2020 SARBO, the Corps is committed to prioritizing work outside of areas when and where right whales are present. This is done in an effort to reduce vessel strikes. It also formalizes the Corps' speed restrictions that must be followed when and where right whales are present, as shown in the table on this slide. The current North Atlantic right whale speed rule and the proposed rule do not apply to federal projects. The decision of how to be protective of North Atlantic right whale and other threatened and endangered species is completed through the National Marine Fisheries Service ESA Endangered Species Act Section 7 consultation, which is what was developed in SARBO as part of this conservation plan. This plan also formalizes the Corps' commitment to continue to fund the early warning system surveys in the Florida-Georgia area and add the surveys that were added for the Mid-Atlantic for North and South Carolina. In order to complete those surveys, the Corps funds over $1.5 million a year towards North Atlantic right whale protection by continuing to contribute to the Mid-Atlantic surveys, to fully fund and contract the Mid-Atlantic surveys, and through a partnership with Marine Land Right Whale Project, started in 2001, where the Corps is the major contributor to those efforts. Those efforts allow us to add additional surveys through a volunteer network that will be discussed later to the areas already covered by the early warning system. Understanding where whales are is important to us being able to complete our mission and in order to avoid vessel strikes. As you can see from this slide, the lines shown from the coast are the aerial survey tracks that were flown, and the dots are the whales that were spotted either individual or as mother-calf pairs. While there are not many right whales left, they do concentrate in areas where work is commonly performed in the southeast, including those areas around Brunswick Harbor. In fact, this year, during this 2021-2022 calving season, a mother-calf pair was spotted in the Brunswick Harbor project area by the dredge in one of our disposal sites. Since this is a whale that is hard to see, this is particularly important for us to make sure that we are doing everything we can to avoid vessel strikes.
Thank you very much, Nicole. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about the Marine Land Right Whale Project that Nicole mentioned just a little bit ago that was established in 2001. The Marine Land Right Whale Project oversees a volunteer sighting network in the state of Florida from the St. Augustine to Ponce de Leon Inlet, which is about 50 nautical miles, to provide extra outreach and education to the public, as well as to provide sightings to the whale alert system. The project collaborates with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, National Marine Fisheries Service, the Marine Resources Council, the New England Aquarium, the Northeast U.S. Disentanglement Network, among others. Over the life of this project, several hundred photos have been submitted to the right whale catalog run by New England Aquarium. The Volunteer Sighting Network provides additional support to identify North Atlantic right whales in the areas covered by the Early Warning System aerial surveys. Since the right whales are often found close to shore, these volunteers help spot them and further reduce the risk of vessel strikes in the core calving areas off of Florida. Shown here are the Marineland Lookout Post locations, the sightings in the 2021 season, and sightings through the years by land-based surveys performed by the Volunteer Sighting Network. The first image on our left shows the extensive area that Marineland covers with their volunteer network. The second slide shows the sightings provided by this project over the years. Of note, it shows the 2018 season where no calves were born or sighted by the Volunteer Sighting Network. The far right side shows the sightings that were observed this last season. The core support for the Marineland project over the past 21 years has added to the robust efforts of the Corps to reduce risk to the North Atlantic right whale. In the Southeast region, results from aerial and land-based surveys are used to alert mariners of North Atlantic right whales within the area through the Whale Alert System. The National Marine Fisheries Service contracts the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission to oversee this whale alert program, and the Corps follows these alerts to ensure our alerts are received by required personnel such as captains and boat operators. By funding surveys, the Corps is contributing to the protection and preservation of the North Atlantic right whale. The data from these surveys allows us to adapt and adjust in-water work to further benefit the whales by minimizing vessel strike risk, documenting other endangered or threatened marine species, understanding the patterns and the needs of the whales, support research efforts, and keep track of their health in cases of entanglement like snow cone, whose catalog number 3560, and cottontail, whose catalog number 3920, and vessel strike cases in cases like the calf of infinity, who is catalog number 3230. The core support of the multiple survey efforts supports the execution of the core navigation mission while helping to locate our gentle giants of the sea and reduce their risk of vessel strikes to help ensure their survival. Thank you very much for joining us in this presentation.